If you're thinking about the last 50 years of Iraqi history, which of the ruptures do you think has had the largest effect on daily life right now?
I would definitely say the 1991 bombardment of Iraq and then the sanctions imposed on Iraq following Iraq's invasion of Kuwait. That's when you began to see the rapid deterioration at different levels in terms of US bombardment, because it wasn't just a war to liberate Kuwait, it was really a war to debilitate the Iraqi infrastructure and Iraqi society. And the destruction that happened because of the bombardment made recovery afterwards impossible because of the sanctions. So this is when you began to see a lot of social problems. For example, in the 90s, you began to see for the first time in Iraq children who are really young, who should be in school, like 6, 7 years old, in the streets begging. This is when you began to see corruption at a staggering level. If you go to a governmental department, you wouldn't get anything done unless you pay a bribe. And political oppression increased. Like Saddam Hussein has always been oppressive, but then in the 90s, there was no way out, there was no reprieve. And another thing that is extremely important is the environmental collapse that Iraq began to experience in the 90s. And it was felt immediately after the end of the Gulf War of 1991. So you began to see it in terms of trees getting dry overnight. Whenever it rains, the ground would be covered with the black soot. And then you began to hear about all these cases, especially in areas where there was a lot of bombardment, like the south, especially Basra, of birth defects. You began to see a lot of people getting cancer. And then, of course, Saddam Hussein severed the Iraqi currency from gold. So the inflation, like overnight, was unfathomable. So people lost all their savings, lost everything. That really was a period that destroyed the social fabric in Iraq, for sure.